How is everybody?
Everything's good here. How's everything over in your shop?
Same thing. Office is kind of
I by
back
the
to
way,
normal.
I sent in by check, for the business Torrance business license.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. You can mail it in or just drop it off at the front
Okay,
desk.
I mailed it. Okay, no worries.
All right. Give everybody a few more minutes for everybody to get in. And then we'll just go over some of the MLS basics and zipForms. All right. I think we'll start off with zipForms, since that seems to be the hottest topic here, that everybody's probably getting emails and realizing kind of what's going on. Let me log in here. We'll do a new share. All right, so everybody can see. I always recommend going to using the zipForms online product. So that's at car.org. So pretty much you'll log in. You have to click sign in at the top right here. There used to be a zipForms transaction icon here in that first bubble. Now it's turned into the Realtor Secure transaction location. So pretty much you'll click on that once we get in there, and then you'll have a slew of items to click on from the top down. So the first one is our zipForms edition that's online. That's done by Lone Wolf. So that's that first one. So you'll click on here to access zipForms, and nothing is really changed on the way that interacts. We do have Glide here on the second icon. This is that survey style form filler that helps out filling in any difficult forms like the SPQ, AVID, TDS, where the client actually has to fill in icons. And then there's a nice little tips and training. My guess is that this is kind of a placeholder for something to come in the future. And then as we discussed in our office meeting, there's other tools that are offered that are free member benefits. So check those out. One of them that we went over was HomeBot, Rent Spree for doing rental applications and credit reports. So those are all down below for you guys to go to. So we'll just click on the access zipForms. Usually validates your membership. And from there, you'll just click continue. And then once you log in here, you'll see a list of all of your transactions. And no matter how fast your computer is, how fast your internet is, just be prepared to wait about 3 to 5 seconds. For most of you, so you guys can see, I recommend setting up the two-factor authentication. Not that anybody would want to get into our zipForms, but this way it's kind of saved. That way, if anybody has to get into it, they have to have access to either a cell phone or to your email. So for that one, we'll type in the code that they sent me. And I always click remember for 30 days so I don't have to do it again. And that way when you log in, it's only you logging into it. Kind of secures your account a little bit better. From the top here, you'll see you have a couple views. So these are the tile mode, where you kind of see them all, the little pictures if you import them from the MLS Connect, or if you click on the top right-hand corner here with the lines, you can actually sort them by the one line to go through everything. Yeah.
Danny, is it supposed to be showing up on my screen? I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, you don't see it? Let me pull it up here again. It may have dropped out since it opened up.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Yeah, you guys may have missed the two-factor because when it pops up as a new window. So this is like the default one-line mode, and then on the top right-hand corner, you can click it to be the larger tiles. This is the default when you first log in. So it's a little bit easier to see. We'll do one of the current listings that we went and previewed this last week, so you guys can see how it's kind of just set up. This is just a generic template that I have set up. When you first click into any transaction, you automatically get the summary page. So this is any info that you've put in. But for us, we're going to go to that third party, after party is the documents tab. And this is where all of our forms are at. If you wanted to add any forms, you'll click on the blue top right. And here's your full list. So you can click on each one to add the form. You can preview it. You can print a sample. That way you have a copy of it. By default, you're at this CAR forms at the top right. And from there, you'll see any form. You can search them all, but they made it actually very easy to sort a lot of these. So if you need anything for the South Bay Association, it's in here. So you have any kind of MLS transfer form, credit card authorization, membership change, all that's in here. If you go to CAR, you have all of our zip forms approved. And if you want to search anything, this is what I recommend for a lot of us that don't really know a lot of the new COVID forms. You can just search like the PAD. And you'll see it'll bring up multiple versions of it, which is the PAD-S for the seller and the PAD-V for the visitor. Another way to actually kind of narrow down forms is under this all section here. As you can see, they have it for COVID leases, COVID sales, many forms that were updated recently. If you just want to look at forms that are for a listing, you can just click listing and it'll sort them that way. If you want to click for just commercial, it'll sort them that way as well. For purchase, all at the bottom, all the way down. And what you'll notice that when you have all done, they kind of categorize the top ones that we use most of the time. And these are they call listing and buyer's purchase packages. So this is your listing agreement with all the forms that you would need to get that first residential listing agreement done. And same thing for the RPA. It includes the new forms, the wire fraud, the discrimination clause, the working with more than one buyer and seller, agency, buyer's inspection. All those are kind of included in that first package there. So anybody have any questions about the zip forms part here, just the forms on the right? A lot of them have the acronyms also. So if you wanted to search for like the real estate transfer disclosure, we call it the TDS. So you can see that will pull it up there as well. So real estate transfer disclosure. If you wanted to look up the AVID, for example, it pulls it up here, which is the agent visual inspection. So if you already know the acronym of the form, it makes it easier to find as well. So to start more of a new transaction, let's say if we're doing for a buyer, you'll see at the top here, you have your e-sign, which is very easy to do if you're just doing zip forms. And then you have MLS Connect. So those are the two that I'm going to kind of go over real fast here, since this is just kind of an introduction to zip forms. So if we're starting a new transaction, I'm going to go back out so you guys can see how we do it. We're going to click on a new listing, purchase, lease, new listing, lease, or just a quick sign. So we're going to do a purchase, and that's why most people are logging in to zip forms. We're going to name the property, and let's look on the TRG site, see if I can find one that we can use here. Unless anybody has a listing that we can write an offer on. Anybody want to volunteer one? All right, I'll pull up one on our TRG site here. So there's a Harbor City property listed here for $820, and it is by Dorinda. All right. So I always start off every transaction with copying in the name of it as the property address. It's very easy to do with that because you don't want to use clients' names, especially if you're working with buyers, as pretty soon you'll have multiple transactions with the same buyer's name, and you're going to have to just tell the difference between them. And the easiest way is by the property, because either you're going to get your offer accepted or not. This is a single family, so I'm going to click residential here. And then the easiest way to pull in all the information that you never have to copy in again is go to that MLS Connect here. So I'm a CRMLS subscriber, so that's automatically defaulted. This is a residential, so it's set as the first one. If you're doing a residential income, you'll have to select that in order for it to do the correct search. You do have to have the MLS number, which is easy to find through the MLS or just copying and pasting it from any of the public portals. So this is Dorinda's right here. I'll click include property photo because I want to be able to see that easier on my page. I just click find. Automatically it logs into the MLS for us, pulls over all the information, the stats for it, and I'm going to click use listing. I also have a template set up that's going to fill in all my information, including the office license number, my address, so I don't have to do that as well. And we'll go over that in our zipForms like advanced for it. But as it generates it right here, it's going to pull in all that information. You can see this is all from the MLS. So I'd have to type in the parcel number, I have to type in the address. It all did it in that one pull through. Under the client's cover sheet, you should see, yeah, everything here. It also includes any of the property characteristics. It also came from the MLS. And you can see what's great about this is I already had the buyer's information set up right here at the top in my template. The seller's brokerage came from the MLS listing information. So these are the two that now I don't have to fill out because it already knows who that agent is. And if I go back to my forms now, we're going to do our purchase. And you'll see as it adds in here, it actually puts in my information on the first page for the agency. And as we scroll down to the first page of the purchase agreement, you'll see it's also already filled out. So we have about 75% of this form filled out where I just have to click the date and then type in who the buyer's information is and add those parties. So that's just using the MLS Connect for it. Any of these forms also, you just got to click e-sign and follow through the prompts as long as it's a purchase agreement and entering their email, and that's very easy to do. And we'll go over that more in our zipForms e-signing class. And we'll use DocuSign and the digital ink and possibly Glide here if it comes out. So does anybody have any questions just on kind of navigating zipForms for the first time logging in? I think most of us have done this, so it's just a refresher. Any questions? Anybody out there? Anybody having a hard time doing this, using the MLS Connect, or have they used it before? All right, guys, I'm here for answers. So that's pretty much it for accessing zipForms. Once a transaction is set up and you're under the summaries here, I want to go over some of the other neat features that you guys can use as well. And this is on the top right here, is you can actually fax into zipForms and have people fax out of zipForms. So if anybody doesn't use email or they want it more secure, maybe some banks are still using it compared to that. So realistically, you never really need to use the office fax anymore. You're more than welcome to continue to use it. We'll just forward it to your email. But what's nice about this is anything that has to do with that one transaction will go right into your zipForms as a PDF. So this number they fax it to, this 866, as long as they have this cover sheet on anything, it comes right into your zipForms. So you can send one by just sending it to their email once they have their party information. So if you want to send myself a fax cover sheet, we can actually attach the cover sheet. We can send a copy of it to somebody else. So you can email this, or you can actually fax it, and you can actually choose how you want to send it. So if you wanted to send it right from your Gmail account or your Microsoft account, you can, or you can send it by default right from zipForms. If I send that out, I'll get a copy of that cover sheet now that I can use at any time. A lot of people also don't know about this email to transactions. That's what that TXN stands for. So every transaction that's done in zipForms, just like the fax cover sheet, has a unique email as well. So if you're copying files back and forth, sending them to a transaction coordinator, all you have to do is copy this. What's nice is it's a dox@ziplogic.com. So chances are once you remember the first couple of numbers for it, you can use it over and over again. And since I use Gmail for most of mine, it will automatically ask me, do you want to continue sending to these other parties? So if you're in a transaction with, like with Jonathan, or I'm copying Lauren or Durf on it, it'll always ask me at the bottom, do you want to copy them on it? So Gmail is actually smart enough that it'll kind of remember who these emails are, or you can see this is a contact for that as, let's say, the zipForms folder. And then every time that you forward an email to somebody or respond to an email and you copy this, any kind of attachments that are in that will be brought into zipForms. So this saves you the time of having to upload any kind of PDFs or disclosures for e-signatures, or to keep any files separate from your email to zipForms. You can just use this transaction email address to send. So you can see, you can save it as a contact, or you can just compose an email right now and we can send it right into the transaction. And that's why you can send it to yourself. That way you have it. So we'll do this one as Oakhorn Drive. And that way I'll have a copy of it in my email to remember to send to that every time. So any questions on kind of using those features? Those are just the basics that I think everybody should know that are there. All right, so that's pretty much it for zipForms. If anybody has any questions, let me know. All right, so we're going to move on to CRMLS. Do the same kind of breakdown of how to access it and get on. So let me stop the share. And we're going to get back to our zipForms. All right. That's the breakdown for here. I think everybody's very familiar with the CRMLS.org website. Kind of to navigate a lot of the issues here that most people don't really know how to find where the rules and stuff are. So I'm going to kind of go over that just on the basic CRMLS website. If you click on compliance, they have everything kind of broken down here in little boxes. So the CRMLS frequently asked questions. Make sure that you guys go through this. It's a short 16 pages, but that way you know what's going on. Any kind of coming soon forms that you guys need to submit, or reporting any kind of off market, you guys are more than welcome to email it to me and I can get it to the compliance team. But you guys can also do it right here on CRMLS's website. It actually opens up a new window, so I'll show you guys that. Here's your rules, how to register the listings, which is going for that coming soon form. And then there's also a full knowledge base for you guys to go through as well. Going back to the main page, if you guys scroll all the way down to the bottom here, let's see. Now they kind of move it each time. So I think it's under compliance also. We want to get to the forms. So here we go. So listing input forms, so you guys can see it. We need to do it for matrix. So they changed this since they have multiple versions of it. But you can see at the top here, it's crmls.org, printable-forms / and here is all of the input forms for everything that you put into CRMLS matrix for it. So for the residential, which is what most of us do, if you click on that, you can see this is a full 12 pages for it, and it tells you everything that is required to put a listing into the MLS. What's great about this is when you meet with your client the first time, whether you're doing a CMA or walking through the property, is you can leave this for them to fill out. And that way, when you go to put everything into the MLS, it makes it very easy for us because we don't remember most of the items that are here. If I get down to it on the interior, like we don't know if there's copper plumbing in the whole house or it's just partial. They'll check that for us. Is there crown molding? It may just be in one bedroom. It may not be in all of them. Do the appliances have an ice maker? Is there a microwave? Is the laundry, in a closet or is it its own room? Is it inside, outside? Is it in the kitchen? Is it in the garage? All those are there. And we also get to the fireplace. We may not have remembered that there was a fireplace or not, and that way the client would check that. We also don't know if it was actual natural gas coming in or if it was propane. You can figure that out also. Same for any kind of electricity and utilities. We don't know if there's 220 there or not for that dryer, so the owner would know that, so we could check that as well. Bathroom features, what they have there. Hopefully we don't miss if there's a pool or not, but they can kind of go through whether it's electrically heated, if it has a diving board, if it's got sort of special salt water, or if it's got chemical cleaning for it. Let's see, what else is kind of ones that are missed? A lot, I think it's under the community features. I know it's a main one that a lot of people have questions with. You can almost always check curbs if it's here in Torrance for it. Most of them have sidewalks for it, so those are usually the ones, and all the ones that have an asterisk here are required. So I would make sure that you or the client go through and check that on this form. It's a nice, easy form for you guys to leave with that client. But you can see it covers everything. Same thing with schools, they can list that down. So any questions on this MLS input form? All right, so we're gonna click on our MLS login here. Once we log in, we'll be right at our main page. So at the top left, you'll have the logo of whatever your local association is. So mine is South Bay Association, so that's why it's there. On the right-hand side, you'll click on the CRMLS matrix. That's how you actually access the matrix portal. But on the left-hand side here, I'm gonna go through some of the add-on features that you guys get as a MLS subscriber. So at the top here, you have Cloud CMA. I would recommend setting that up if you haven't. That way, when we do our CMA class, you're ready for it. The CRMLS app and CRMLS Connect, as well as MLS Touch, are mobile apps. So these, if you're doing it clicking from your phone, it'll actually prompt you to go either to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for it. We went over the HomeBot feature, which is kind of an auto email system that's mainly based on giving lending rates. But there is another version that you guys can use, which is called eProperty Watch. This has been around for a couple of years now, and it'll actually send out emails once a month based on the value that you put in for your clients. Kind of set it and forget it. Glide, we talked about that, and I'll do a special class on that once they have their own forms system set up for it. They're also going to have a e-signature as well, so we might touch that on multiple classes. Moving on to InfoSparks here. This is a way to search for any kind of like data if you want to get any trends based on offices, statistics, say how many sales listings an individual office does, or the whole association. You guys can search that here as well. Realist is our tax information, so we get everything on there, and that'll be covered as well. And I'll show you guys that when we do our CMA search. Remind is like a freemium as well as Line Desk. So this is a contact management system, and then Remind is kind of a marketing smart zip style farming where you can log in, click on properties that have the most equity, and you can buy contact information in this as well. RPR is another like CMA program. This is a national program, so you can actually search properties that are outside of California and our MLS. If you want to just get the basics on them, and they'll kind of give us a evaluation for it. So if you had a client that just wanted your opinion on it on a property that was out of state, you could actually look it up in there. Showing time is connected to every listing. So if you wanted to book and schedule any kind of showings, they're automated and emailed. And there's also an app for that as well. And then our Supra is our lockbox. So it kind of covers most of the stuff here. If anybody has any questions about those. I haven't used Rate Plug Rate My Agent is a free member benefit with South Bay. So you guys should get those emails anytime you kind of close a transaction, asking for you to send out a survey to your client or the agent you worked with. But we're going to click right into CRMLS Matrix so you guys can see this. So it's changed a little bit in its color scheme. So we're in Matrix X or Matrix 10, I guess is what they're calling it now. But all of these are kind of defaulted here. To kind of talk about some of the things that I have set up here is our favorite searches. So we're going to go through and just do a generic search. And I'll show you how you can add favorite searches. You can also add stuff to hot sheets and carts. I don't use those as often because I prefer to have everything emailed to me. That way I can look at it rather than having to log in. What's also nice is if you have any clients that are receiving auto emails, you see their activity and how they access it. So if you do have people set up with auto emails that aren't looking at it, I always recommend just turning them off, because when they're ready to receive those listings again, they will call you because they know how powerful those auto emails are to get listings rather than having to go to a public portal like Zillow or Realtor.com to see what's available on the market. So we're just going to do a basic search here. I always recommend doing the searches under CMA. That's kind of a hybrid between the quick and the detailed. The detail gives you a lot, but the CMA is just enough for us to do a basic search. So we'll do coming soon, active, and we're gonna do, let's do all of Torrance, and we'll just do 90505 for it. So you can see right now there's already 21 listings. Let's change it just a single family, and we're down to 12 for just here in Torrance. So we got our automatically for our 12. When you click on the results, it takes us all the way to that one line display. If you click back to the map, which is that middle icon, it'll actually lay them all out. I spent a little bit of time here so you guys can see what you can do on the map feature for it. So you can see based on the areas that we have, if we were going to look for a certain area, or let's say that this client wanted to buy over near the Torrance Airport, not necessarily near the water, we could actually narrow that down by using a couple of these features here at the top. So we have draw a rectangle, a polygon. We can just draw our own if we want, and we can clear all the shapes from it. And then we have the layers tab. So I like using the layers tab because I'm not too familiar with the MLS areas, as I haven't spent the time to memorize them. So if you click on the MLS areas, it'll automatically draw all the lines for us. That way we don't have to remember the MLS areas. And you can see that we have 1, 2, 3 in this kind of 90505 area under the search. Obviously, these are going to be different values based on the MLS area they're in, but we're looking for our client in this Walteria area, let's say, by the airport. So we're going to say that we only want area 125. Now that I know what that is, I can go back and type in 125, and it narrows it down to 6 for me. And if I go back to the map, you can see it no longer has any of those other properties selected. Now, if they just wanted to be on one side or the other, this is where you would use that draw tool. So let's say they want to be on the west side from this park, kind of like over. So we're going to draw a line here, down. We'll go all the way over, up to the market. There we go. And now we've narrowed it down to just those 3 properties for that area. And the kind of reason I'm doing this for these individual properties is I want to set this up as like an auto email. They want to know what's in this area. So we're going to click on save here at the bottom. So you have your actions, your criteria stats, redefine, if you're looking here at the bottom left. And then under save, this is where you can do a new save search. So I can add it to my front page when I first log in, or the new auto email. So we're going to click on new auto email. I believe I'm in here under TRG. Let's see if that comes up. So you can see all of our clients that have been put in there. If you wanted to copy anybody on it, you can. So I'll add in my email. So we're going to do Walteria, Bridges, single family, and we'll do West Side. So we know they're automatically going to get this generic portal welcome. And you can see it's based on whatever their name is. So I have it set up just as DRTRG agent. The signature, you guys, if you haven't set it up, you'll just see a blue line here. I recommend copying and pasting this from whatever email provider you want. Just scroll down a little bit more. Just because your MLS criteria that you guys, or we just did right there on the screen. So you can see where it's coming soon and active. It shows the zip code, city, MLS area. And then the concierge mode is if you guys wanted to be their concierge for it. So if they're looking for, let's say, a property with a pool, you wouldn't want to show them those 3 properties we just looked on unless they had a pool. So you can actually be the middleman between the MLS sending properties to that client. You can also add it as a reverse prospecting. This will send out an email list to any of the listing agents that say that you have buyers looking in this area, or you can save it as your favorite search, which is here at the bottom. I always recommend leaving the scheduling to the daily, whether you want to do it AM or PM. It doesn't really matter. I believe it goes out at like 8 AM in the morning and at 5 o'clock by default. If it's something for you as an agent, you can do the ASAP, but when a client sees that and it's incorrect, which sometimes agents will put in an MLS listing and the price is supposed to be, let's say, $1 million for the listing for it, and they listed it for $1,000. Obviously, that's going to send out to everybody because everybody's looking for a property under, 500,000. If they see something for $1,000, everybody's going to get that email. So if you do the daily, chances are they'll correct that before it gets sent out. You can also do it monthly if you want, and these are done, say, on the first day of the month at midnight. So if I click save, they're going to get that email. Now to kind of go over where this went is if you go to the top here under your My Matrix, you can go to your auto emails, and you'll see these are the ones that I already have set up. At the top here, we have the first one, the Walteria property, single family, and set up as daily, and nobody's actually logged into it. I have my new sister-in-law's dad looking for properties in Santa Ana. So you guys can see here, last time they logged into that portal was December 22nd. So they see the emails, but they haven't logged into it. You can see in the last almost 2.5 weeks now, they haven't even looked at these 3 new ones or any 3 that were updated. So when it's updated, it means the terms were changed. So whether it was price, commission, something on it was updated, maybe pictures were added, those are there as well. You guys can also do this for lease listings. So this one's for residential leases. So we picked an area for it, the price range up to 3,400 or less, and they wanted a pool for it. So if you look at the kind of email sent here at the bottom, you can see that he's also hasn't looked at this since November. So my guess is, he doesn't need these emails anymore. So in order for us to change that, we are going to see how I get back. Email history, yeah. So if we check on that Diamond Bar Marietta under 3,400, all I have to do is click disable. As soon as I click disable, now they don't have access to clicking on any of those emails, and it won't send them any more emails. This is a good way to follow up and clean up that information. So then for one of the buyers I showed this last weekend was for a 4+ bedroom. You guys can see on this one, he just hasn't looked at the email that was sent today. So he got an email for 2 new properties that he hasn't opened, but he opened these other ones as they came in. So this shows you that this is a good client that are looking to buy something or look at properties. These other ones I use, for example, like my sister-in-law's husband or dad is not as active as we thought he was for it. So he wanted to know what was available out there, and he's obviously not checking his emails as often. So he's not really a top buyer that's going to be on the radar. And this is how you guys can see, you know, when you get these leads for buyers, if they're really active or not. So that's kind of how to do an auto email. Same feature you do for that save at the bottom to do a save search. And then under your My Matrix, you can always go back to any of those auto emails or the My Matrix save searches. And you can see, you can save as many as you want. There's no limit for it. Something else that you guys can do is under your, see, I know they navigated it, so on this side now. So under your name at the top right, you're going to click on settings. This is going to take you into what used to be under the My Matrix, My Profile. But here is where you can manage any kind of information that you want. For me, for example, is my legal name is Daniel. So I click on here to override to change it to Danny. So if you guys have a different name that you go by, you guys can update that. But all this information is pulled in from the South Bay Association. So all of our office information. So if I wanted to change the name of the office to a team or a phone number, all that can be changed as well. If you guys have any kind of website, slogan, tagline, state license number you want to change, that's all there as well. Cell phone number, I think, yeah, it may have been different before, but I have it as overriding with mine. On your auto emails, you guys can also change the layout of what you guys want on your top headers and footers. These print out on your CMAs as well as on your website links. You guys can change the formats, the colors, however you want for it. This is your CMA cover page. If you want to change your photo, here's that email signature. You guys can copy in. And then if you want to add any photos, videos, this is all here under your public portal profile. So that's kind of the basics of CRMLS. I think everybody's used the real list before. We had that in our last class. And then on the right, at the very top, you click on links. These are all to kind of like any of the different products. If you guys didn't have them on that front page, you didn't see them, or any kind of reciprocal agreements we have. If you can't find a property in the MLS, but you think that we should have access to it, we can actually search in the Pasadena foothills. We can also search in Hawaii for it. And we can also search up in the Oakland, Berkeley area by logging in, as well as MLS that's up in the Beverly Hills, Greater LA, Southwest for them. But these are our kind of reciprocal links. So you'll click on that. It tells you what the password is, or it automatically logs you in, and you get access to that. So any questions? No, you guys all know how to use the MLS and zipForms. Anybody? Any questions?
It's gonna take some practice.
Yep.
Memorize all that.
Through it. This is kind of just a basic overview for it, but we'll go more in depth on doing the CMA class, as well as kind of doing more stuff on Realist. And I'll probably do a code class with Robert. I'm showing him how to do preliminary title reports and how to pull that stuff up as well, especially since he's with a new company. And then zipForms, probably in the middle of February to late February, depending on how Glide uses their zipForms form software with signing. We'll have a class on that as well. So there'll be lots of training, at least here for the first 2 months. And then all of these are recorded, so feel free to watch them either on the TRG website. You guys can click down to TRG Lunch and Learn videos, as well as our office meetings. And then it's also on our Facebook group as a live broadcast. So that way you guys can comment on that as well. So thanks guys for joining us, and stay safe out there.
You too.